Hello there, this is Kush Sharma from Creative Pad Media. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how you can turn an ordinary looking jewelry shot like this into something much more professional, like the images that you can see in front of you. We'll also be discussing how you can add the shine in the jewelry. So that'll be done afterwards. So let's get started with this. There are two AI tools that we're going to be using here that you can use for free up to a certain extent. One is going to be Mokker, which is something I've shown a lot for product shots. Another one to add the shine will be DZine AI. So this will come into picture later, and we'll also have to use a bit of Photoshop. So I've given this particular image to you so that you can work along with me, and you can download that from the description, and all the links to all the tools that we will be using are also given in the description. So let's get started right now. The first tool that we are going to be using here will be Mokker, because this will be to generate the background to make it look really nice. So let's get started. Once you do, go to mocker.ai and you have created an account with them, you get 20 credits, so you can use them for 20 generations. And once you are here, you're seeing this interface. We are going to upload that image here. So let's do that. And the moment you do that, it's going to suggest some templates like this. So it'll recognize that, yes, it's a sort of a jewelry, like a ring, and it's tries to show you its best, but it's just right now, it's a good idea to just skip this, and we'll do this on our own. And the moment you skip this, you get to the main interface where you have this little design board where you can design the whole idea and then hit generate. Now, a couple of things before we just get on to the main things. Under studio options, make sure that this is set to one image so that we don't utilize too many credits. And I'll soon be talking about this little icon that you see here, which says baseline or iris. These are the models which the AI will be using to generate the background here. Iris results in very good looking backgrounds. If you've seen my other videos on Mokker, I mainly suggest using Iris. That's the latest model. However, in this particular tutorial, we'll just have to do a trial and error, because what you're going to see is in a product like a jewelry shot, sometimes there are a lot of props in the background, and when that is the case, when it's a slightly complex looking scenario like this, sometimes baseline model actually works better than the iris model. So the best thing to do is to just test out both, as we're going to do. Okay, now the main thing here will be to select a template, because right now we just have the ring here, and if you want, I can make this smaller or bigger, but right now we're going to go over to templates, and you can see that there are a lot of different templates that you can search for. And what I like to do often with Mokker is to simply, in the search bar, just type in the product here. So let's say if I type in jewelry, it'll just start to show me those templates which are geared towards something like this. So you can see, right, we've got a couple of these. And one thing that you have to pay attention to is that when you're looking out for these backgrounds, do pay attention to how the original subject in this template looks like. If the perspective is not similar, then it's not going to look good. For instance, let me just show you an example. I had used this particular template, and you can see the result in front of you. This just didn't look good, because in this case, you can see that it's slightly off the perspective when we compare it to this, because if you look at this ring, it's slightly clicked from a top to down angle. So we're looking for something which is similar to this, okay? And the one or the few that worked really well were this one. Even this one worked very well. So let's generate two images here. We're going to start off with this one. So I really like this template where it was in a jewelry-like box. And the moment you click on a template, you can just hit this option that says replace template. And you can see that it gives you that rough sketch, and you can change things here. For right now, you can see that this ring is too big for this box. So I can just click on it, decrease the size here. And also it has just tilted it. So I'm just going to basically use this little gear icon and make it just fit inside the box. And you can already see from the rough sketch that, yeah, this won't have that perspective issue right here. And other things that you can do here is, let's say right now I can hit generate, but we can also go over to this section that says props, and we can add something on our own also. For example, we already seen that this looks good, but let's say on this side, which is slightly empty, we can probably add maybe a flower. So let's just search for something like this. And you can see, right, you can add anything that you want. So let's say I'm going to add maybe this, okay? So the box just got moved here. Just have to push this here. Maybe some flowers here. I think this should be fine. So one of the things that is a bit of a downside here is that there's no way to undo things. Okay, so if you move something, you really just have to get back to the original. So make sure you're clicking on the right thing. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating, but that's okay. I think something like this is fine. And I can also change the color of the different things here. So let's say for this flower, I don't want black. Maybe I want something which is red. Okay, I think this looks good. And you can leave everything as it is. Later on, I'll also be showing you how you can generate a completely custom image using the prompt. We'll get to that very soon. So before we hit generate photos, this is where we've got to do that trial and error. Since there are a lot of things here, usually it's a good idea to select baseline actually. But let's start with Iris. You never know. Iris is the more superior model. We're going to hit generate photos and let's see what this gives out. And when you're using Mokker, sometimes you may not see the image being generated here. So what you can do is just like refresh the page and then you start to see that generation come here. You can see this and I'm just going to again hit refresh after waiting for around 10 seconds. And you can see that this is pretty much ready. But this time you can see, so if I just click on this image, yeah, it's done now. It looks good, but first of all, it has changed something inside that ring. So that flower that we added here is just considering that inside this ring and it's kind of not really following. There's no box here. But you can see the overall look of the image is really good. That's where Iris model is good. But like I said, when there are too many props like this, it just doesn't work well. So it's a good idea then to go for baseline. Okay. So now let's hit generate and let's wait for this result. And you can see I've just refreshed it and you can already see that even though baseline is actually the inferior model, in this case, it is actually looking really good. So let's click on this. And you can see that this looks absolutely amazing. We've got that red flower also that we added. The box is there. The perspective looks good. The shadow, the lighting, everything looks fantastic here. So when you're happy with this, you can just hit download image. And even though you're on the free plan, you get a like a good quality image without any sort of watermark. That's why I really like Mokker. Let's just generate one more image here. If you wanted to change anything, by the way, you can just hit recreate scene and add more props or something that you want. I'm happy with this. Right now actually it's just completed the entire image, so I'm just going to hit download again. So sometimes you just have to wait for a bit till everything looks sharp. That's when it's completely done. Okay, so now I can just close this. And another one that I quickly want to generate was, if I just type in Joel, was this one. This also worked really well. So I'm just going to replace the template. This time I'm not going to really change anything just for speed's sake. So I'm just going to delete their default product. You can anytime delete anything that you want by hitting those three dots. And I'm going to go to my products because that's where the ring is. And I can just place this right here. Maybe make it slightly smaller in this case. And something like this works fine. Now we already know when there's so many props here, we're just going to select the baseline model and let's hit generate and let's wait for the result. All right, so this is also ready. And this time you can see again on the baseline model, I think this is looking absolutely fantastic. So I can hit download here also. And just like that, with 2 clicks, we've got 2 fantastic real looking product shots of this ring. Now, the issue with Mokker and a lot of these other apps which are like this is that sometimes you just don't find a good enough template. You can see that the dedicated ones for jewelry were not too many, right? There were 6 or 7 of them. But you can also search for other templates which are meant for other products. You can definitely use it by deleting the default product here. So that is one approach. But what if you want to create something completely from scratch? For example, what you can do is if you were to go to Google and you type in jewelry photography and you get inspired by, let's say, one of the images. For example, one of the images that I really liked was this one. Then how can we create something very similar for our own ring, which is close to this? Well, it's a very simple process. Once you do like an image, just download it. And then you can head over to ChatGPT. And what I did was I basically attached both the images, the image that we got inspired by and our original image. And I just wrote, prompt to generate the first product image, but with the ring from the second image. Then it's going to basically combine both the aspects and it's going to give you one detailed prompt like this. And now what we can do with this prompt is just copy this, go back to Mokker, and this time just delete everything. Okay, so we don't need all these things. So let me just quickly get rid of all this. It has to be a blank canvas now for this to work. Also get rid of any styles which come when you put in a template like this. So basically nothing at all. Okay. The only thing that you should be worried about is just the placement of this ring. Where should it be when that background is generated? So something like, let's say I want it somewhere like this, and the size of the ring. That's all. And all you do is just put in the prompt here. Okay. And for this, I would highly recommend that you shift from baseline to iris, because now we don't have the issue of the props here. This is more prompt based. And when it's prompt based, definitely the iris model is much better. So I'm going to select iris and I'm just going to hit generate photos and let's see the result. All right, and you can see that now this is also ready, and just by writing a prompt, we've got something very similar to the image that we got inspired by. Yes, it has added a flower and all, but that's all right, because then you can always just do this a couple of times and one of the images that you will get will be good. You can also tweak the prompt to your liking. Another thing that you can do here is, if I wanted something slightly more different, I want to make it darker, you can always add the style also along with the prompt. So they have a lot of lighting styles, themes and all. So for example, here under lighting styles, they have something which you can use for, something to make it darker, like with rays. Even under styles, they have this dark style here called dark vibes. You can play around with all this. And I've seen, like, after around 3 or 4 generations, you definitely find something that you do like. So these are a couple of ways by which you can generate these jewelry shots in Mokker. And now that we are done with this, the next thing that we want to do is we want to also add a bit of shine to the jewelry, because Mokker is great at handling things like the shadows and making it look really real, like creating a real composite, but it doesn't really change anything within the product itself. So all these jewels that you can see here, and just the surface, there's no shine on it, but we would probably like to add that also. And this is where we're going to go over to onto the next step, and we're going to use the next AI tool, which is DZine AI, because they have got a model which is actually made for this, adding shine to the different jewelry products. And how you do that is, once you go to DZine, the link is given in the description, you create your account. Best part about DZine is you get 32 credits every day, so you can use it for free also. And once you are on the home page, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the image to image generation model. And once this opens up, just delete this particular sample photograph that they give you, and let's upload one of the jewelry shots here. So I've just uploaded the first image that we had made inside Mokker. And what we are going to do now is, just right here, the first thing that you see, which right now says playful seaside, this is the model. Okay, so if I just click on it, in this category called realistic, you're going to find 3 models or 2 models which are jewelry based. You can also search for that. And here they have one which says shining jewelry. So this is the one that is meant to add shine to the jewelry. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. If you want, you can write a prompt just to give it the context, but it's okay even if you don't. Because here's the thing. Ultimately, when we do get these images, it is definitely going to have that shine. But the problem will be that, just like any other AI tool, when you do change something, when you do create an image from another image, it is going to change that particular product also. So it's not going to be exactly the same thing. It's going to be close to it, and then we'll have to mask things out inside Photoshop to basically get the final result. But right now, let's just at least generate this. So what we're going to do is, we've selected our model. Like I said, it's not 100% compulsory to write this, so I'm just going to leave the prompt empty. Style intensity is just asking us that how close should the image be to this. Just push this all the way up. So we are saying yes, as close, when it comes to the creative elements, we want this image, the new image, to be as close to this as possible. But this is the most important, the structure match. By structure, we mean the outlines that you're seeing here. So the new image should also be as close to that. For example, the box size should not change, the ring size or shape should not change, and all these things. So make sure you push this all the way. We just want the shine to come here, okay? And we also want the colors to be as similar to this as possible, because this was looking really, really nice. And That's it. You really don't have to worry about anything else. If you want, you can even change the theme of the color. I'm just going to leave this. And that's about it. So we could just are going to now hit generate. If you want a slightly higher quality image, you can select higher quality, but then it's going to cost you 8 credits. So fine, that's not a problem. We'll select this and let's hit generate and let's wait for the results. All right, our generations are pretty much ready. So let's open this up and you can see this is the first one. So you can see it really adds, wherever it notices something like that, it adds a lot of contrast. It adds that glowy look here. It has added something on its own, but the main problem here is that it has changed the ring. And if it's a product shot, then there's no point in doing that, right? So we will have to tweak this in Photoshop a bit. You can see this is the second version. This has also changed it. And we are looking for at least something which is slightly close to what we had in the original. Okay, for example, something like this we'll just have to discard because even the shape of those shiny jewels is not the same. Okay, but something like this is more acceptable, and something like this. So again, this is going to be a game of basically trying to generate this 2-3 times and then find something which is as close as possible. So let me show you the final result here. All right, so I just generated this again, and in the second set, I've got something which is very close to the original, which is this first generation. So just see this. And if I just hover out, you can see this is the original. Me looking at that shape here, because these things here are going to be important. So just see this. I think this is as close as we've got. And the other things that it has added outside, that is just a bonus for us. So that is good that it has added that shine here also. So I'm just going to now download this. And this is the one that we will be using to create a composite in Photoshop. So let's head over there. All right, so I've just opened up both these images, and just to save time, what I've done here inside Photoshop is that I've placed them on top of each other so that they exactly lie on top of each other. And that's going to be very easy. Why? Because when we generated the new version in DZine, remember we had enabled the structure match to be as restrictive as possible. Therefore, all the outlines were very similar. So it'll be very easy to do this. If you're still struggling with this, you can hold down Control Command. Make sure both the layers are selected. If they're not aligning properly, you can always go to Edit and just go to this option that says Auto Align Layers and make sure this is set to auto and just hit OK. For me, I'm right now not going to do it because it's already the case. But in that case, it'll just automatically align them. So once this is the case, it's time to now start taking in the best parts from that shiny image. So right now, let's just call this original. So I'm just double clicking on the layer, just changing the name. Just double click on it and just hit OK. You don't have to worry about what's happening here. And we can just call this shiny. Okay. By the way, if you don't have Photoshop, you can do exactly whatever I'm showing using photop.com, which is a replica of Photoshop. Also, we're going to be using a bit of layer masking here, which is like a fundamental inside Photoshop. If you're someone who want to learn the basics of Photoshop, I've got a completely free Photoshop for Beginners course, which has 20 videos. I'll leave the link to that in the description, because even these days in the age of AI, you still need to sometimes use Photoshop to get out of tricky situations. And that's where knowing these basics is really, really good. But basically right now, we have these two images. Now, what we are going to basically do here is let's actually put the shiny image on top. So I'm just going to drag this on top. And here I'm going to open up a layer mask. And by default, a white layer mask opens up. White means the top layer is being revealed, but we want to do the opposite. We don't want to reveal it. From here, we only want to reveal very small parts like these blue things here and some of the things here. Okay, so we're going to make this black so it completely hides the shiny layer. And how you can do that is if you double click on the layer mask, you get the properties window, just hit invert, and now it's completely hidden. Now wherever we paint white on this image with this layer mask selected, that's where the shiny image will start to get revealed. So we're going to take our paintbrush, make sure white is selected, zoom in, and let's just start to reveal. So I can change the size of the brush from here, or I can use the square bracket keys, and then something like this. So if I start painting white on this area, you're basically revealing that from the shiny layer. And that's where that structure match becomes really, really important. So see right here also. Right. And similarly for this. Let's also see, I think the colors for these white ones had changed in the new image, but let's just see if we reveal this. I think this also looks much better. There's a bit of shine, more contrast, and it still looks white. So I think that is fine. And now if I just zoom out a bit, you can clearly see there's a huge difference. So if I hide the top layer, before, after. And also, if you remember, it had made some really nice changes to this part also. So why not take this also? Maybe something like this. Yeah. And you can see, right, just by doing this, as far as these little things were concerned, we've just added a nice glow to them. And overall, the image looks a bit better. There's a bit change of a color here. So what I can do is, whenever you need to do the opposite, just we need to make sure this foreground color is set to black. You can just hit the X key on your keyboard. I'll just keep switching between black and white. So wherever you want to hide, you can select black. Wherever you want to reveal, you can select white. Okay. The rest of it is original. And the second thing where we want that shiny look is in the body. Now, this is going to be a bit tricky. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to do this on a separate layer. So right now what we're going to do is we are basically going to click on this shiny layer and we're going to duplicate this. So duplicate layer. And right now we will do the same thing, but we will start to paint only on those areas which are on the surface here. Okay, so let's just start revealing this, because one of the issues here is you can see that it has added some text here, which again won't be very desirable for a product shot because we don't really want to change the brand. So you can see, right, this won't necessarily work. So I'm just going to undo this. We will need to be a bit careful here. So what I can do is I can take my brush and decrease the opacity first of all, so that to make sure this is very, very subtle, and only use it in those areas where it's not really changing anything related to the brand or adding some sort of text. So with this, you just have to be a bit careful. Okay. For example, on these areas, I don't mind, just to get that contrasty shine. Even on these edges, I don't mind, but somewhere here, that's where the text was coming. So I can just decrease my brush size. And wherever I feel there's a specular highlight like this, I can just run the brush again. So it's going to add that opacity and basically it's going to make that effect stronger on those areas and reveal the shine more. Basically what is happening, this. Something like this. And you can see, right, before, after, just adds that little shine to it, but it also has changed the color, because in the DZine AI image, the color of the ring had significantly changed. So how can we correct this also, that we want the best, the shiny parts, but we don't want to change the original color of the ring? Well, on this top layer where we've mainly worked on the body, because the colors were okay for this, so that's not a problem. But on this top layer, what we can do is we can change the blending mode. So right now it's set to normal, but if I go and change the blending mode of this layer to luminosity, what's going to happen is we're just telling Photoshop that blend this with the rest of the layers in such a way that, yes, keep those shiny parts there, but if they have affected the color, then don't take that into consideration. So when we select luminosity, just means keep the luminance parts there, brighter parts, that's all, okay? Brighter or darker, but the color won't change. So that's how we're blending it. So if I just show you the before and after, this is on luminosity and, okay, and this is on normal. So can you see, it had added that yellow part, but on luminosity, the ring maintains its original color. So before, after, we're just adding that contrast shiny look. And now if I zoom out, if we just compare this with the original, I'm just going to hold down Alt Option. This was the original and this is the new one. And I think this just looks much more sharper, shinier, and it has just more punch to it. And the best part about this is that this is completely non-destructive. So if I ever feel there was some part that I liked in the original, then I can just go back to my layer mask, take the black brush and just run over those parts. For example, I didn't really like what it did here. You can come back to this, change this anytime that you want. Now I think this, yeah, definitely looks much better. Finally, just to make the image slightly of a better quality, I've gone to Upscale Media, which is a free AI tool to upscale and increase the quality of an image. I'm going to upload the image here. And with a single click, you can see that it has just increased the resolution. And if you look at the details, this has just made the overall image really, really sharp. So let's just hit download. And here we have our final image, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. So in case this video helped you out, do give it a like. I'm still on the lookout for an AI tool which can do this with a single click. But till now, I've not been able to find something which can add that shine but not change the product itself. The moment I find something like that, I will make another video on it. So if you want to keep updated with all my experiments with the different AI photo editing tools and image generation tools, then make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next time.